All right, so welcome back here to the WCG USA National Finals right here live from the New York Comic-Con, brought to you by the Samsung Notebook Series 7 Gamer. As again, we're getting into the finals right here for StarCraft 2. Who will represent the U.S. for the World Cyber Games Finals over in China?
This is it, man. Winner of this best of 3 gets that title. Well, maybe. If TriMaster wins this best of 3, he must win another.
Yes,
QXC, of course, coming from the upper bracket finals. He already beat TriMaster. So TriMaster must win 2 in a row here to represent the United States of America at the World Finals in China. He is your Terran player in the top left, in the pink shade. His opponent in the bottom right. It is QXC from Team Complexity, the purple Terran. Complexity came into this tournament with 3 out of the 6 players in the finals. Able to get 2 of their 3 players into the grand finals. Huge success for Complexity as a team. Really, really big shout-outs to them. You know, it's just a great situation. Like, just think about these 2 guys. They're probably best friends. They're teammates.
Well, you saw there at the end of the game there between Kawhi Rice going up against TriMaster. At the very end of that game, you had QXC, one of his teammates, who's competing against right now, congratulating him at that point. And I guess that's what they kind of anticipated, both of which coming from the Complexity Gaming House down there in Texas. And they probably anticipated something like this, or at least wanted to have a Complexity final.
Absolutely. I'm sure, you know, coming in this tournament, they wanted the top 3 spots in QXC, TriMaster, and Sasquatch. Couldn't quite get that done, but two of the top 3, that's not bad at all. And of course, no matter what, we're going to have Complexity representation at the WCG World Finals in China, and Terran representation, which is pretty cool as well. Of course, QXC showing commanding play throughout this entire tournament. You know, definitely going to be the favorite in this matchup, I would think.
Especially since he's gone through this tournament. He has defeated RSM in a 2-0 victory. He then faced off against Kawhi Rice and won that 2-1. Then he sent down TriMaster to the loser bracket, winning that series 2-0 as well. And during the 2 matches that we've had the chance to see, watching QXC, he had such great control and adapted extremely well, just very methodical throughout the whole process.
Yeah, you know, showing how good he's in such great shape right now. He said it himself. He's confident that he's going to be, you know, the representative of the United States at the World Finals. Let's see if he can complete that chapter and make that happen here. Of course, opening up with the command center first, following it up with 2 additional gases. I expect him to do what he's been doing on this map. Like he's been doing it on Entune Valley, going into mech play. It's been working. He said himself that that he didn't have to. He said himself that he's not worried about what his opponent sees. This mech play, he's completely confident in.
It's not the ego confidence.
No,
it is the right kind of confidence, knowing that he has faith in his game. He knows that he's playing extremely well, and he just builds off of that. He's been playing again. It shows. It shows within game.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, constructing the factor here. Yeah, I mean, and it's good play on this map. Now the question is, how does TriMaster mess with that? How does TriMaster mess with what QXC has been doing so well? How does he mess with something he's lost to multiple times in this tournament? Well, he's going to go with that build we saw against Kawhi Rice. Opening up with that medevac. He's got 4 Hellions, going to add on some Marines as well. And there's the scan from QXC, so he knows exactly what his opponent is doing, and we see the difference already. You know, we talked about this in the Kawhi Rice game versus TriMaster. You know, Kawhi Rice didn't build a bunker, but QXC is going to be really safe here, going to build that bunker. And I don't expect him to die this push. We'll see if TriMaster can get some damage in here. He has to do a decent amount of damage, considering this command center is so much later than his opponent's. QXC's orbital is already done. It's already down. Pulling some SCVs just to be safe, spreading out his units, looking out for that medevac. Medevac coming forward here from TriMaster. QXC's going to try to bait it forward. Now going to come forward and try to deal with this. Targeting down the medevac. The medevac, oh, getting so low and health down to 60 HP. QXC shutting down that drop with relative ease. Very nicely played. Very, very nicely played. And now TriMaster is trying to find a way to get some damage done here. Coming to the third base, might try to drop into the main. There is a Marine there. That's not going to be enough to take down that medevac. TriMaster or QXC looking for where his opponent is. He's pretty much lost sight of him. Looking for his opponent with that Viking, and he's going to see these two medevacs. Two medevacs going to the main base. QXC now knows he needs to pull all of his units back to deal with this, but his units are in the middle of the map, not where they should be, targeting down that medevac, and that's a lot of units being dropped inside of QXC's main base. The Viking getting targeted down by those Marines. The SCVs running as fast as they can away from here. The medevac's decently low in health. The Hellions coming forward here from QXC, get engaged with the SCVs as well. The Hellions going to try to target fire down the SCVs. QXC does not want to lose too many SCVs at this point in time, taking down one medevac, targeting down the second, and QXC is going to clean up this army. Oh, he's going to keep those SCVs alive, though, and he is successful. So QXC now at 51-34 in supply. It was close at one point, 32-26 in harvesters. Workers killed 5-1. QXC in complete control of this game. TriMaster has that command center done. Going to move that to his natural expansion fairly soon. Adding on 3 bears, going to start churning out Marines and Marauders. Does not want to die to this push from QXC, but I don't see this doing too much here. But wow, going to be able to take down some Marines here. One tank, though, should be enough to fend those away. And behind this, QXC going to add on 2 factories, I would imagine. This is about the time for that. Adding on the 3rd command center first. But playing this really safe. And there are the 2 factories. Starport on the tech lab. Going to go into Banshee production. Going to transition into mech. And he's going to have a lead, 65-39. But you've gotten this far in the tournament. Sure, he could maybe push and try to kill this, but he's going to play it completely safe, getting up the tanks and the Hellions. Going to add on Blue Flame, mix in a Raven, perhaps Banshees and Vikings. And TriMaster is going to have to play comeback. But against a player like QXC, I don't know how effective that's going to be. Now, TriMaster is pretty much focused on any attacks at his front door. Doesn't necessarily know about this drop happening from QXC, and this could actually do so much damage to TriMaster. QXC coming forward here with this medevac going to drop inside his opponent's main base. TriMaster has absolutely no idea. His only units are at his natural expansion. These 4 Hellions going to swing right to that mineral line. TriMaster on the run with those SCVs. All of these SCVs are so vulnerable at this point in time, but the Marauder and 2 Marines coming forward are going to try to deal with this, and QXC might head down to the natural. But there's a tank there. I don't see that working. And are they selling shop? Nope, they're going to go straight back to that middle. The SCVs are so vulnerable once again. QXC going to try to wrap around and get that money shot off. Nice splitting there from TriMaster, but it's not going to be enough. Going to lose a lot of SCVs in the process. QXC melting away his opponent's economy. Going to lift up in that medevac and get out of there. And wow, so that's the definition of cost efficient at the same time. QXC running in to the natural expansion. He's not done killing the SCVs. TriMaster is so vulnerable at this point in time. QXC absolutely melting away his opponent's economy once again, is absolutely everywhere with these Hellions. 17 workers killed. Income is 51-25 in favor of the Purple Terran player QXC.
QXC just doing a great job. Again, not that vision just wasn't spotted coming in from that backside.
Showing his multitask ability. Attacking into the main with Hellions when his opponent is distracted, running in Hellions to the natural. Every vulnerability in TriMaster's defense, QXC has been able to find and he has been able to exploit to his advantage. And he's not done. Now, I don't expect this medevac to do, the Hellions here to do as much damage as the others have been doing, considering now TriMaster is going to be on top of it. He's going to see this, going to deal with that, and QXC should just pick up and leave. Yep, that's what he's going to do. But what's important here is behind this. QXC taking his 3rd base, adding on a 4th command center. 2 gases taken at his 3rd. We got 3 tanks. Raven, Viking, and Banshee. Going to be making 2 tanks at a time. And some Hellions. QXC up 102-86 in that supply count. Blue Flame just about to finish here. TriMaster. No 3rd base even. Okay, there is a 3rd orbital on the field, but it's not yet located at that 3rd base. Whereas QXC is going to be there, and his income is showing it, 2,500 to 1,500. TriMaster's going to try to push here. This feels like deja vu again. This feels like the same exact push he did in the two initial games we saw on this map. But QXC once again is prepared with these siege tanks. So an option TriMaster has, again, is to try to contain his opponent on 3 bases. Maybe control the middle and take his side of the map. But QXC playing this really safe at this point in time. Upgrades well underway on his armors. Tank count is 5-3. But QXC's production should be about to explode. He has 5 factories on the field. He's going to be maxed in the next minute. Probably. Minute or 2. Presuming he doesn't lose too many units. QXC backing up here. The gas count is the only thing limiting him, but already saturating that at his 4th base. So keeping up with that production. Flanking around the right-hand side with those Hellions, trying to find a hole in his opponent's defenses. Something he was very able to very effectively do in previous games, also in this game. QXC trying to take map control. Looks like TriMaster wants to get some damage done. Coming to the middle of the watchtower. Trying to track down those Hellions. But QXC might just be able to sneak by. There are 2 Marauders here, though, so I don't see that being incredibly effective. That's a lot of Hellions, though. QXC building up that tank count. Vikings as well, adding on turrets. Does not want to lose to a drop, so very smart decision here. Constructing those turrets at his natural expansion. QXC sieging outside of his 4th base. Trying to bust through his opponent's natural and 3rd base. 3 Hellions going to try to be dropped in the main, and TriMaster's going to have to spread himself out quite a bit here. Looks like these Hellions will eventually get picked off. Hellions finally taking down that supply depot, now going straight for that 3rd, changing their minds though. And backing up. Hellions in the main trying to take down those SCVs, doing a decent job, but the Marauder coming forward here from QXC, or from TriMaster I should say, it's going to be enough to deal with this. So TriMaster able to clean up all the Blue Flame Hellions around the map. But can TriMaster make this bio work? We've seen QXC, he has been absolutely impenetrable in all of his TBT games, in all of his TBT matchups, especially on this map. TriMaster was unable to get anything done against him. Let's see if that changes here, or if it stays the same. QXC is about to be maxed. TriMaster at 163 supply. Scan from TriMaster, trying to see what his opponent's composition is like. Now I'm wondering when QXC decides to go for that air transition again. He has plenty of Vikings on the field, so that's a nice little head start on the air advantage and on the air transitioning. But that's a lot of Marauders in the middle of the map here from TriMaster. If he can catch QXC unsieged, that's exactly what he's looking for. QXC distracting TriMaster's entire army with 1 Hellion. And now he's going to wrap the rest of the Hellions across the map. TriMaster does have plenty of Marauders there, so this shouldn't... Okay, the Hellions just going to try to take this the head on, and QXC is actually going to take advantage, come to the middle of the map, sieging up. Or he should be sieging up. Oh, okay, now he's going to siege up. TriMaster might decide to stim forward and deal with this. But QXC has that middle control now, and he's going to send these Hellions at his opponent fairly soon, I would imagine. QXC gradually leapfrogging forward here with these siege tanks. TriMaster stimming his Marines and Marauders. Looks like he wants to go for it. Point defense turrets going down from QXC. Again, mitigating the damage from those Marauders. And QXC. Nice siege setup here. Now, okay, he does have Vikings, so there's no element of his opponent being able to drop Marines and Marauders on top of his tanks, because then these Vikings can just take down those medevacs. All right, QXC setting up a nice contain here. Plenty of tanks. Sending on a mule to repair. Or no, that's... Oh, no. That's TriMaster's mules trying to soak up this damage. And wow, that's actually surprisingly effective. And just like that, taking down 2 tanks. Nice little move there from TriMaster. But he is sacrificing mules to do that. Keep that in mind. QXC coming across the map here with lots of Hellions and tanks. Uh-oh. TriMaster going to try to set up a flank, stimming forward with his Marines and Marauders, but QXC realizing it, going to back up, take a more defensive stance with those tanks. And look at this, TriMaster's actually setting up on every single side of this army. I think if TriMaster can engage from every side, he can take down this force. There's not many tanks left. Only 5 tanks left here from QXC. That's not going to be enough to deal with this army from TriMaster, especially if it closes in from every direction. Here we go, TriMaster coming forward, stimming forward those Marines and Marauders, trying to take down this army. Point defense turrets going down, missile auto turrets going down here from QXC. And it looks like TriMaster will end up cleaning this up. And takes a supply lead at that. But not for long. QXC adding on 5 tanks at a time, 6 Hellions. Look at his bank, 3.5k, 1.6k. Still trying to get counter-aggression done with his Hellions, but TriMaster's going to be on top of that. Yeah, TriMaster is not, it's not even going to be an issue for him. 2 starports being added on here for QXC. We know what that means. We're going to see a transition into the mass air fairly soon. TriMaster, or QXC I should say, still with so many tanks on the field. Units count 24 tanks. He almost has more tanks than Marines, or more tanks than Marauders. That's a pretty crazy count, but TriMaster... Oh, looks like there might be engagement. Both players are maxed here, and TriMaster looks like he's... No, he's going to stay back for now. Not willing to engage just yet. QXC trying to bait him forward. QXC has 81 Harvesters, and TriMaster going to go for a drop with these Marines and Marauders on top of these tanks, and that's going to be surprisingly effective here. At the same time, is he going to move in this army from the north? No, he's not. But cleaning up these tanks is TriMaster once again, actually losing a lot of his units. And QXC is going to retain that supply advantage, 196, 158. But at the same time, it looks like we have some Hellion run-bys. 47 workers killed total in this game so far by QXC. TriMaster only has 36 Harvesters. QXC should consider throwing away some Harvesters here. He has 81 Harvesters, but he has, I feel like he has a lot of Orbitals. Let's look at the Orbitals. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, 6. 6 Orbitals. Oh, this is pretty clever play. Sieging from the high ground is TriMaster. Onto this additional expansion. That's exactly what TriMaster needs to do to get back in this game. Go after that economy of his opponent. But QXC should really be throwing away some SCVs at this point. His army could be much bigger. Much, much, much bigger. TriMaster crawling back into this game a little bit at a time here. This might not even get repaired. Okay, it is getting repaired, but not at a fast enough rate. And now QXC going to be able to repair this. And QXC is going to be okay with losing a few SCVs here. That command center finally did fall to that Viking. QXC setting up lots of turrets here, has a fusion core on the way. Uh-oh. TriMaster loading up a drop here. Is going to drop it on his opponent's army, or is he just going to run right by it? Okay, QXC sees these medevacs. Oh, he's going to try to drop right on top. How effective is this going to be? Not too many Vikings here from QXC. Nice line of tanks, but a lot of tanks dying from QXC, and TriMaster's going to go for it, stimming forward from every single location, and TriMaster going to clean this up. QXC has 1 battlecruiser on the way, but how vulnerable is he at this point in time? How many tanks is he down to? 19 tanks. He's 19 tanks on the field, but they're all spread out. Plenty of tanks over here, plenty of tanks at the 4th. At the natural in the 3rd, and TriMaster's not going to be able to engage any one of these locations. QXC is covered at every location. 3 battlecruisers on the way here from QXC. The question is, does TriMaster know this transition is coming? He was caught off guard last game, and he paid for it. QXC once again swinging some Hellions around the north side of the map, taking down those Marauders with relative ease. 3-3 on those Hellions. It's absolutely insane. Scanning, and he sees all those SCVs, he's going to go for them. Splitting some Hellions into that base at the north, going in to take out these SCVs as well. And these are Hellions that he doesn't necessarily want after he gets his damage done. Turn that supply right into those battlecruisers. He has the bank to do it. Yamada cannon, weapon refit on the way. Pretty significant force here from TriMaster. That's a lot of Marines, which can definitely do the damage to the battlecruisers. But QXC is going to have this tank supplementation underneath, knows where his opponent is, sees the scan coming forward, and TriMaster sees those battlecruisers. QXC needs to not get caught unsieged here. TriMaster doesn't necessarily have the bank to add on additional starports. He's exclusively making Marines. His bank isn't as big as QXC's. And it's never going to get there because QXC keeps sending Hellions across the map. TriMaster's still at 39 Harvesters. I still think QXC needs to throw away some of these unneeded SCVs. Big engagement in the middle of the map here. Battlecruisers are involved. QXC is going to get broken by TriMaster with these Marauders and these tanks, but the battlecruisers overhead are going to clean up all the Marines. None of these units shoot up. And QXC is up 189 to 124 in supply. TriMaster has very little ability to rebuild his army. QXC adding on more and more battlecruisers at this point in time. Has tanks on the high ground, and TriMaster throwing plenty of units away here. Mules being dropped down from QXC to try to keep those units back and let those tanks do the damage. Does TriMaster have an answer to these battlecruisers? Marines coming forward, going to target those down. Those are going to fall incredibly fast, actually, to these Marines. QXC trying to get that damage done, but really needs, actually, nice, nice shot on that medevac. QXC needs the Hellion supplementation. 2 HP on that battlecruiser. QXC trying to put the exclamation point on this game. Exclamation point. 200 to 117 is that supply lead. TriMaster trying to make it happen with drops. Plenty of turrets over here. Vikings in pursuit. QXC also has all these tanks here in his main base. This isn't going to do much at all. TriMaster trying to make it happen, but that army is going to get absolutely dismantled. And QXC retains his maxed status. TriMaster slowly rebuilding that economy up to 49 Harvesters. Trying to take additional bases. But he's mined out of his natural, his main, and his third, essentially. This is really only his mining these are only his two mining bases. QXC finally adding on additional command centers. Maybe now we'll see him sacrifice those SCVs. Taking the space at the middle right. TriMaster going to try to prevent this from happening, but QXC again has so much stuff in the area. Look at all these battlecruisers, look at all these tanks. And TriMaster going to try to engage here, but the siege is in time from QXC. And now QXC is going to try to zone out his opponent's army. He's just going to A-move at this point. Now sieging up those tanks once again. Marines and Marauders from TriMaster are all going to get destroyed. QXC 178 to 125 supply. Might try to end it right here, right now. Heading to that force base at the top side of the map. TriMaster trying to flank with his Marines and Marauders along the left-hand side. But as long as QXC doesn't get caught unsieged, I don't see this army falling. That command center going to fall. TriMaster trying to catch reinforcements off guard. And there's the GG from TriMaster. So QXC is one win away from securing his spot in the World Finals to represent the United States of America.
Yeah, so far, QXC has only lost one map in this entire tournament here at the World Cyber Games USA National Finals. It's been a great experience watching him play the entire time, too. He's just had such great control throughout every single game that he's played.
Very methodical play. Very safe. Like, we see him getting these advantages, but he doesn't necessarily feel pressured to counter right away. He's completely comfortable extending the game, just making absolute sure he 100% will win. Covering all of his flanks. Like, again, we see times when TriMaster's trying to drop here. He's trying to drop there. He's trying to counterattack here, counterattack there. But QXC always has units waiting, either units or turrets. He's always going to be prepared. At least it seems like.
Well, he never gets too over anxious to try to go ahead and get the victory, and he's always anticipating what's going to happen
next. He seems unbeatable right now. It's really quality, high quality play from QXC. Of course, here we are in Game 2 of this best of 3 in the grand final of the 2012 USA WCG final. In the bottom right hand location, we have the pink Terran player, TriMaster from Team Complexity. His opponent in the top left, it's the purple Terran player, QXC from Team Complexity. Both Complexity in this final. And QXC is 1 win away from getting that spot.
Being able to represent the United States, representing the U.S. They're in the World Cyber Games Finals over in China. That's going to happen November 29th through the December 2nd.
Yeah.
Of course, we've already claimed our Crossfire team who will represent there. I believe that's Hammer Time.
Yep.
And we'll also have there for World of Tanks. That's going to be Team Curse. And will it be QXC to be there to represent for StarCraft 2 there in the U.S.?
I know this guy has a lot of fans. A lot of people want to see him succeed. A lot of people want to see him win this tournament. And what an honor it would be to him to represent the USA at those finals in China. Pretty awesome opportunity for both these two players. TriMaster can still come back, but he has an uphill battle. He has to win the next 2 games in a row, and then he has to come back and win another best of 3. It's doable. He's done it before. But again, QXC just looks so convincing with his play, with his game, that I don't know. TriMaster is going to have to play amazing StarCraft 2 to make it happen. Map is Ohana. Very receptive to mech-style play we've seen in TVZs. We saw it in TVZ today. That was Kawhi Rice against RSM, I think. Yes, it was Kawhi Rice against RSM on this map. We saw Kawhi Rice go for the mech play. RSM got the early burrow, movement on the Roaches, but wasn't able to utilize that as efficiently as he probably could have. And Kawhi Rice able to take that win. Of course, TriMaster went on to take down Kawhi Rice in the loser bracket final. And that's why he's in this grand final right now. QXC opening up with a command center first, adding on 2 gases in his main base. His opponent getting a gas, but only mining 100. Looks like he's going to go into Hellion production. Oh, wait. This is a little... okay, so 1 Hellion. So he didn't build a reactor. Okay, just going to go for that fast command center. Just going to get a few Marines, a few Hellions on the field for early map control. Little ability to pressure, but still taking a very fast expansion, at least compared to previous games. QXC has a bunker there. Going to be just fine for now, dealing with that that Marine push. QXC adding on a reactor of his own. Going to go into Hellion production fairly soon and lift that orbital over. So both these players perfectly content extending this at least into the mid game. No heavy one-base builds like we saw from TriMaster last game. They went for the medevac play with the Marines and Hellions. And we don't see him doing that here.
Yeah, so far, again, these two have met up in the winter bracket finals where QXC was able to take that series 2-0. And right now, QXC is 1 map away to being able to represent the U.S. in StarCraft 2. They're at the World Cyber Games Finals in China. This is what it's all come down to. This is what they've been playing for. They've worked through the qualifiers. They've made it here to where they're at right now.
A lot on the line. Both these players incredibly happy to be here. There's no better feeling than facing a teammate in such an important match like this. And I'm sure TriMaster, if he should lose this game, is going to be the first to congratulate QXC. And they're both going to be incredibly happy. I'm sure the complexity family is already incredibly happy right now. Might be watching this from their Complexity house down there in Houston. Would not be surprised, because we're gonna have a Complexity at the World Finals representing the USA, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool to have. Pretty cool to have on that resume for the Complexity team. QXC taking out this Hellion at the Watchtower in the middle of the map. TriMaster getting some tanks on one tank on the field, adding on a second. Very similar, relatively similar openings from both these two players as far as timing of expansions. We didn't see either player really heavily invest into one base play and then rely on getting damage done. They both got very fast expansions. And let's see what QXC goes into here. Adding on 2 Vikings, putting a tech lab on that barracks, and he's going to go into bio this game. So switching it up a little bit, adding on 2 additional barracks. Going to have 2 on reactors, 1 on a tech lab eventually, mixing in a Banshee, or actually going to mix in a Raven. So QXC going to be changing it up a little bit. Going to go for some bio-heavy play. QXC sending a couple Hellions across the map, taking that Watchtower control. Going to see this push coming out from TriMaster. We got 3 tanks and a squadron of Marines. QXC going to back away. That's a lot of Marines from TriMaster. No medevacs, though. Mixing in a Viking, 2 Vikings. Let's see what kind of a position he can get himself into. Siege mode is about to finish. QXC caught kind of just as he's about to start really producing those units. Just finished those reactors, now starting 5 Marines at a time. Viking coming forward here from TriMaster, getting position on the low ground. And if TriMaster can get sieged up here, this is a little bit of a dangerous situation here for QXC. The bunker getting knocked down, is out of health. And TriMaster going to start slowly leapfrogging forward with these tanks, and this is going to be a headache to deal with for TriMaster. Siege mode just now, or for QXC, Siege mode just now starting for TriMaster. QXC going to go for it with his Marines and SEVs, trying to split up those Marines to mitigate the splash damage from those tanks, but so many Marines here from TriMaster. And there's the GG from QXC. TriMaster taking a really quick Game 2, going to even up the series just like that, 1-1. TriMaster's not going down without a fight. 10-minute game after, what was that, a 40-minute game in the last one?
It may have been even shorter than that, or at least it felt like it was.
Yeah.
But there you go. You have all tied up with QXC and TriMaster, as that will bring us to a 3rd map of this best of 3. Now, again, if TriMaster wins this map, this next map, we will then go into another best of 3. And from that point on, it's a fresh game. It's reset, and we'll see what happens from there. But we have to get to that point. Again, TriMaster trying to push it in to a 2nd best of 3.
He's done it before. In the online qualifiers, like, there's a reason TriMaster was the 2 seed and QXC was the 4 seed. Coming into the online qualifier, or from the online qualifier leading to this tournament, QXC went up 2-0 in the best of 5 final. And then TriMaster was able to win 3 games in a row to take down QXC. So he has the ability to come back. And he's well on his way. He could do it. QXC, in that game, went for the bio. Really vulnerable to that push from TriMaster. Didn't really have much to defend against it. Like, he was caught when he was starting to really hyper produce, I guess is the best way to say it. There was a period where he was making his reactors, making his barracks, where he wasn't making any units. Right when he started really hyper producing those units, that's when TriMaster hit, taking advantage of that timing before QXC could get many units out on the field. Had siege mode, QXC didn't have siege mode, and that spelled disaster for QXC in that game. But can TriMaster keep it up?
Okay, this could be the final map here at the World Cyber Games USA National Finals. We'll see what happens here with QXC and TriMaster here on map number 3 here in the finals.
Map is Daybreak. TriMaster is your pink Terran player in the top right-hand location. His opponent in the bottom left, it is QXC, both players from Team Complexity. TriMaster making a match out of this, refusing to give up, no matter how dominant QXC has been TriMaster doesn't care. Of course, the last the last match we saw on this map, we saw double proxy Marauder. That was a pretty crazy game. That was TriMaster versus Kawaii Rice, game 2. I think it was game 2. Kawaii Rice ended up winning it, I think, pushing it to a game 3. No such shenanigans happening in this game. Both these players going to open up with the very standard barracks, no gas. Probably going to see 1 racks fast expos from both of these guys unless we see a gas added on in the near future. The map is Daybreak. Very, very large map. So economic builds are very common. Very hard to mold 1 base, 2 base builds to really abuse your opponent, especially in a situation like this, where this game is so important for both these players. QXC, if he wins, he gets that spot. TriMaster, if he wins, he extends this to a second best of 3. So neither player really willing to go for a very high risk strategy. Probably both going to go for the more standard 1 racks fast expand. Very willing to send the game into the mid to late game. I hear Gangnam Style again.
I told you to hear it again.
Of course, we are in New York City at Comic-Con, so if you're watching the stream and you hear cheers and Gangnam Style, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Definitely states the fact that we're at a convention.
Yep.
Yeah, but overall, though, I mean, throughout this tournament and what we've watched, I mean, QXC, he's been playing extremely well. He had only given up 1 map prior to this series.
Yep.
And TriMaster, you know, just trying to make some type of impact there. He's able to pick up that second game rather quickly.
Yep. Yep, you're absolutely right. Very clever build there from TriMaster. Feels like it was one of those builds that you know, that you save for a best of 3, or that you save for a moment like that. QXC caught completely, you know, unprepared by that build. But can QXC close it down? Look at this. He still hasn't taken a gas. Taking a 3rd command center. This is Flash style. 3 command centers before even a gas. So really focusing on that economy at this point in time. TriMaster adding on 3 additional barracks after his 2nd command center, so not taking as economic a route as his opponent. And there we go. Finally some barracks added on here from QXC. Still no gas, though. Really delaying this gas. His opponent has been mining it for quite a while. The factory's going to be much faster here for TriMaster. Already starting stim. There we go. Finally adding those 2 gases in his main base. His QXC going up to 3 barracks total. Going to make that command center into an orbital command relatively soon. Marine's going to have a skirmish here. I don't know who got the first shot off. Looks like this guy did. His gun is a little bit faster, so he'll emerge victorious. 3 HP to his name.
And go ahead and exchange.
Yeah. Swapping off. Your turn, bro. And he's going to return home and probably hide inside a bunker. Scan going down there from QXC, seeing the 3 barracks and the factory. He knows exactly what's going on. QXC adding on 2 engineering bays. His army is not too strong here. 9 supply on army at the 7-minute mark. There's a scan from TriMaster. Let's see what he saw. He saw both engineering bays. He did not see this 3rd base, but he saw the timings of these add-ons, so that might be enough to tell him
supply depots required.
that his opponent has a 3rd base, or a 3rd command center. TriMaster focusing on the bio right now. Looks like he's going to go into that tank production fairly soon. QXC is going to have faster upgrades. TriMaster only has 1 engineering bay. QXC has 2. So we'll see how that plays out as this game goes along. QXC now starting to churn those units out. Finally gets the factory at the 8:30 mark. That's as late as a factory. You don't see that late of a factory too often. QXC adding on 2 more barracks. So he's changing it up a bit. It seems like he started out with like his mech play. He's been doing that pretty much exclusively on Entombed Valley, electing to go for bio on both Ohana and this map. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out last game, but this game, again, he got that really fast third orbital, really fast engineering baits to get those upgrades started. So really investing a lot in the stuff that's going to help him later. And if TriMaster had a timing, it'd be like it'd be about 2 minutes ago, or when siege mode completes. What we can see TriMaster do here is try to set up a contain here and here with tanks, and just keep his opponent on 2 bases while taking a third of his own. That would be a very good strategy, especially against a pure bio composition where QXC, in order to break that, it's going to be very difficult. QXC pulling some SAVs here just in case. TriMaster might start a slow push here. 1-1 just now finishing here for QXC. Loading up a second bunker, but TriMaster has siege mode. QXC finds out with that 1 Marine is going to sacrifice his life for that intel. SCVs being pulled here from QXC, is not prepared for this just yet. That's a lot of Marines out on the field for TriMaster. QXC is in a bit of a bind here, really trying to pump up that unit production. Siege mode just now starting, siege tank on the way. SCV slowly falling as well. And how does QXC break out of this contain? Well, I think we just found out how. He's just going to load up a drop and get out of there. Might try to flank from the back. But again, this is so many Marines, so many tanks here from TriMaster. QXC desperately trying to repair this bunker. Pulling even more SCVs to make it happen. But that bunker's going to fall. And QXC is so vulnerable right now. TriMaster, at what point does he just go in here? I mean, QXC does not have siege mode. So TriMaster, a stim and run-in would be amazingly effective since QXC has no bunkers for defense. Looks like QXC going to go for a counterattack. TriMaster should be able to realize that his opponent is going to be vulnerable back home. QXC splitting up those Marines, going to try to deal with this thing at the same time. TriMaster stimming in to his opponent's natural expansion. QXC is going to have to lift up and go to the main. There's no way he can defend against it. He's going to try to, though. The tank sieging up in the back, doing a lot of damage. QXC finally finishing up siege mode. And TriMaster charging into his opponent's main base at the same time. QXC trying to deal with TriMaster siege tank reinforcements. Has a lot of Marines here, but all these SCVs going to be pulling here for TriMaster to try to clean this up, and that's going to be successful. QXC, I think he might lose this game. TriMaster up 87 to 58 in supply. QXC is going to lose this orbital unless he lifts it, sending Marine after Marine to its death. 160 health on that orbital command. The counter is slowly but surely going to fall. Trying to take out that orbital, that's going to finish up. And TriMaster has a commanding supply lead, 86 to 47 in that supply. And QXC, just like that, is going to fall behind. TriMaster has doubled his opponent's supply. Every Marine is gone for QXC, making 4 more. The good news is he has this orbital still alive, but honestly, his opponent has 3 orbital commands, building up another army behind this. Lots of Marines, lots of tanks, adding on 2 additional barracks. And QXC is in as bad of a position as you can be in here. TriMaster even going to salvage one of his bunkers. Even going to get away with that Marine, maybe. No, he's not. Five barracks worth of production here for QXC, adding on the 2-2. Guess you try to keep what advantage you have, but you know, TriMaster's going to attack once again. QXC needs some tanks on the field. Seaton mode is done, but he doesn't have any tanks. There we go. Tank is on the way. If you don't have as high of a Marine count as your opponent, you've got to have those tanks out there. Those are your cost-efficient units. Those are your damage-dealing units. TriMaster securing this orbital command at the middle right-hand side of the map. QXC going to go for some counter-aggression, but again, his opponent's up in supply 121 to 81. Commanding lead here for TriMaster. Scanning, seeing exactly where his opponent is. And he's going to stim forward and try to deal with this. The tank's going to siege up momentarily. QXC caught a little bit off guard, going to run away as fast as he can. Medevacs as well. Going to get out of there. One Marine at the watchtower falling. QXC is actually almost mined out of his natural and his main. Going to try to get back in this game by utilizing a drop. But that drop is going to have to kill about 40 SCVs for it to work, and this Marine is going to spot it. QXC needs to siege up on the high ground. But TriMaster can just essentially contain his opponent. There's the siege up from QXC and TriMaster at the same time. QXC trying to get that air vision. That vision with those medevacs. 2-2 is about to finish for QXC. He's going to have an upgrade advantage by 1. TriMaster has the third base behind this. QXC going to try to secure his as well. Marine running for his life there. Yeah, I'm trying to think how QXC can come back here. I mean, drops is the answer, but there's only so much damage you can do with the drop. QXC is even patrolling, or TriMaster I should say, is even patrolling with Marines here. Making sure he's not going to be vulnerable. Stepping forward is QXC going to try to take this out. He does have an upgraded advantage here. 4 Marines left to do damage to SCVs. QXC actually doing a decent amount of damage here with these Marines. But here come the reinforcements from TriMaster taking on that medevac, and these Marines should be dealt with without too much trouble. Meanwhile, QXC adding on that 4th command center. Nice positioning there on those tanks there. Uh-oh, TriMaster might go for it, but QXC going to siege up. Going to try to bait these units forward. TriMaster sieging up as well. TriMaster able to get some shots off onto this orbital command. QXC repositioning that tank and try to repair it, but it does end up falling incredibly fast. And TriMaster can just contain his opponent here while he takes the rest of the map if he wants. Scan going down from TriMaster. TriMaster going to try to go for it, targeting down that orbital command, but the orbital staying alive thanks to those SCVs that are repairing, but just too many Marines on the field here for TriMaster. QXC eventually going to hold it off, but his tank count is essentially gone. He's going to lift off of his Marines and try to land on top of these tanks. That's one way to do it. Landing those Marines going to try to heal them up and do the damage, and the tanks, though, can be too much, so I can't even tell. Okay, we have 4 Marines left, desperately trying to get kept alive by these medevacs. And reinforcements coming forward from QXC, so he might be able to pick off the rest of his army, but look at these reinforcements from TriMaster. TriMaster coming forward with all of those Marines. QXC running for his life again and again. The tank's going to get cleaned up. TriMaster has way too much stuff. And there's the GG from QXC, so TriMaster he's going to be taking out QXC in the first best of 3. Can he complete the comeback here and take out QXC in this second best of 3?
So that's what it's come down to, and now it's going to be down to a second best of 3. here between QXC and TriMaster. So we're a clean slate.
Clean slate.
Everything that happened beforehand doesn't make a difference anymore. Now it's come down to this. QXC and TriMaster. Whichever team or whichever player wins this best of 3 series takes it home.
Wow. I'm impressed. TriMaster able to make the comeback here. And now, again, it's a second best of 3. Clean slate, as you said.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break here. We'll be right back here from the WCG USA National Finals, right here live at New York Comic-Con, brought to you by the Samsung Notebook Series 7 Gamer. We'll be right back with the finals between QXC and TriMaster right after this.